Some say that EVs are just too much hassle than they're worth. Whether it's range anxiety, long recharge times, a boring driving experience, or sometimes just too much tech. But what if there was a car that would be the perfect solution for all of those worries and ultimately be the perfect starter kit EV? Well, let me introduce you to the Kia Niro EV, and if I was to describe this electric vehicle up in 3 words, I'd say simple but effective, but not in a negative way, kind of like how you'd sum up Bangers and Mash. It's a classic, and sometimes you just can't beat them. And right now you can secure a Kia Niro EV from as little as $399 a month at Glyn Hopkin Kia. To find out more, then head to our website. Now, if you're one of these people who are refusing to accept the switch to all electric vehicles, whether it be for the range anxiety, thinking recharging is a bit of a faff, or perhaps the cost, well, let me break it down for you. Because you can travel upwards of 290 miles in the Niro EV, and with it allowing ultra fast charging, you get from 10 to 80% in around about 40 minutes, which is a good amount of time for a toilet coffee break, don't you think? And because of this little beauty, the Kia Charge Card with supporting app, you can find any public charging station on the EV charging network and use the card to tap and go at any public charging station, and the app will handle the rest. No need to be constantly signing up to endless amounts of apps, making so many accounts and paying for each individual charge. With the Kia Charge app, you can combine all charging sessions to just one monthly payment, making owning an EV as stress-free as ever. So worries about EV ownership aside, what can the Niro EV actually provide you? Well, a sleek design for one. It's fairly familiar, it's fairly reminiscent of the EV3 and also Kia Sportage. It's kind of the two mixed in together, and that's helped with the design of them LED headlights with daytime running lights come as standard. This two-tone hexagonal grille, pretty short, but I think it breaks up the front end of this car pretty well. But that's also matched with this front bumper section down here. And overall, I think it's a very good looking family SUV. Coming down the side of the Niro EV, and there's not really much going on, but it's very much living up to that simple but effective tagline, because overall it's a nice shape, it's a nice body. You have the contrasting panelling down the side and also on the wheel arches. You get 17-inch alloy wheels from standard, and they're also reflected across the Niro EV range, but I'll get onto specs ever so shortly. One thing I do like, which I think's a bit quirky, a bit different, is how your rear lights actually come round the sides. It kind of breaks up this back end, because like I said, there's not really much going on the doors, there's no real design features here, so that kind of breaks it up nicely and it kind of rounds off this overall sleek and simple design. And at the rear, well, that theme carries on. With this being in this white paint, then it's quite obvious how almost little design features there are on the back, but I don't think it needs it. The whole body with this spoiler, the way it kind of bevels out slightly and comes back in, and that contrasted rear bumper, overall makes for a sleek design. Now, depending on your spec, you will get the addition of power tailgate to reveal 475 litres of boot capacity, which for a compact SUV, I think it's pretty good going. If you look across the car market, 475 litres for a car in this category fares pretty well. And overall, I think it's a rather reasonable space. And what is also very reasonable, well, in my eyes anyway, is the cost of a Niro EV. When it comes to the spec levels, and these are very simplistic, there's definitely nothing confusing going on about this car. Again, the ideal starter kit EV. The two specs are simply called Niro 2 and Niro 3, and the prices are very close together. Both come with a 64.8 kilowatt hour battery, meaning that the 2 and the 3 get the same performance, same mile range, all very straightforward. Now, the difference between them two specs, you probably think, well, it's not much price difference, they've got the same battery, same performance, same mile range, what is the point in getting the top spec? Well, the main difference is them premium features like wireless phone charger, heated seats, cooling seats, heated steering wheel, them type of specs. You also get some more heightened safety features with that Niro 3 being the top spec. However, the base spec, you're still getting smart cruise control, lane keep assist and reversing camera, all as standards. You also get keyless entry, a 20-litre front or front boot, whichever floats your boat, and multiple driving modes from the base spec. Your top spec also benefits from advanced driver safety features, such as the Highway Driving Assist 1.0, which makes driving the Niro EV an absolute doddle, because when it's engaged, it will keep you in the centre of the lane. It will adjust your speed accordingly to the road conditions and change the braking settings to keep a safe distance between you and the car in front. There's also the addition of lane change assist, which if you're on the motorway and you indicate and it's safe to do so, then the car will automatically change lanes for you. All very practical and provides a rather relaxed driving experience. And I think that's kind of what the Niro EV was built for, is to be kind of relaxing, kind of almost get yourself used to driving an EV, because with a 0 to 60 time of 7.8 seconds, around about 202 brake horsepower and 244 newton meters of torque, it's not the zippiest EV on the market, I've got to say. You look across the electric car range in the UK car market, and there's EVs that provide like 0 to 60 time of 3.5 seconds, 4, even 5 seconds is a lot quicker than your average combustion engine. So 0 to 60 time of 7.8 seconds, the Niro EV is definitely not quick, but it still has that instant torque that you expect with an EV. It has a bit of zippiness, and obviously with the different drive modes, you put it in sport and it kind of does feel like a more enhanced car. And I think that kind of middle of the road performance ultimately just adds to the quota of this being a great starter kit EV, because there's that bit of zippiness off the line, but it's not too much that if you test drive one of these, you're going to think, oh, that's a bit quick for me. I don't know if I can that out on the roads. It has that pull off the line, so you're going to be impressed with that acceleration. But if you're not used to driving fast cars and you want to go to electric, this is the next step up. And ultimately, what's going to help you get adjusted to driving an EV, it's about the safety features you get with this. You get smart cruise control for lane keep assist. That smart cruise control also comes with stop and go, and with them regenerative braking. Put it on the top setting and put it on eco, not only going to get more mile range, you're basically going to see the car almost drive itself. And yeah, I have to admit, I've driven more high performing cars, I've driven more modern cars per se, and I've also driven more advanced cars in terms of tech. But there's something about the simple nature of the Niro EV which kind of makes driving electric cars feel like you're driving an old school car, which could really help it argue that EVs are boring to drive, because it has that nature of being a true car, in the fact it's not necessarily taken away from driving experience by being too complex or having that faff about finding a charging station. You have that Kia Live and Kia Charge app integrated, so that covers that area with a decent mile range, fast charge capabilities. I just think the actual comfort in this car, the driving position, the way that armrest slopes up, all round, it's rather pleasant. And that pleasant and rather true car driving experience is definitely helped with this interior. As mentioned at the start of the video, that some new EVs on the market kind of almost have too much tech and takes away from actually enjoying a car for being a car. But I don't think the Kia Niro does that. It still has modern quirks with this 10.25 inch touchscreen integrated to your digital dash. Now, the upgrade of the Niro EV from the Niro Hybrid, you only get actually a 4-inch digital dash with the Hybrid. EV comes with 10.25 inch, so there's definitely some perks with switching to all electric. But as for the actual look and feel, we have contrasting patterns, you have nice premium feel materials everywhere, there's no scratchy plastics at all. You have this metallic effect in your center console with that automatic gear selector, very reminiscent of what you see on the EV6. And here has all your controls for heated seats, cooling seats, which come from that top spec, and also heated steering wheel, and also you can pull up your reversing camera if needs be. You have a little wireless phone charging pad, again come from that top spec, but you also have a charging port, USB-C and USB port, which also charges your phone and connects to your Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And even though the exterior kind of is simple and a kind of almost portrayed the Niro EV as being a simple but effective car, the interior kind of opposes the exterior in the sense that there's a lot going on in terms of design. You know, there's almost different levels to what's going on the doors. You've also got the 2 save seating position buttons on your door as well, with electronically adjustable seats and also lumbar support, so again, maximising comfort. Cup holders in the centre which can be removable, as seen across the entire Kia range from the Picanto all the way up to the EV9. But there's something so refreshing about having something so simplistic in a modern day car that I just love. I don't know why, I find it really satisfying. Coming on to your tech, and you have everything you need in here. You have built-in nav, although nowadays you're probably going to use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but for whatever reason that's not working, you got the nav as a backup. Change your climate controls within this, however, there is a separate bar with actual dials. I love that true car driving experience. I like that old school tech in modern day cars. You can power it on and off like that. Temperature for both sides, or you can sync it. I hate having to go into infotainment screens when changing it. So much awkward out on the road. If I'm getting a bit hot, I just want to be able to go, boom, sorted. Coming on to steering wheel, and this kind of chunky bit in the middle I wish was a bit more flush and a bit more streamlined, kind of to match the sleekness of the car. I think it's a bit, I don't know, a little bit chubby for my liking. But overall, it's nice when you're out on the roads. Artificial leather wrap steering wheel coming from standard as well. You have a drive mode selector button on your steering wheel, which I always think is a bit handier to have it there, because rather than having to faff around looking for a switch down here when you're out on the road, if you think, oh, I'm running low on charge, need to put it in eco, I don't want to be taking my eyes off the road, just to do that. And you also get a nice animation so you can clearly see what mode you're currently driving in. You've also got your regenerative braking paddles on the back. Don't need to go much about the science of that. Because this has smart cruise control with stop and go features, the car can almost drive itself, especially with lane keep assist added. I'm not saying it's like high tech in the sense you can go, Kia, take me to work, and it will just drive itself. But if you're on a long drive, it's rather convenient, and if you're stuck in traffic, you don't need to constantly be moving your foot, even though that's not really that much effort. But for a 4-hour journey, it's just more pleasant. But overall, the seats are comfy. There's a lot of design features. It feels premium. I'm a fan. And the rear passengers in the Niro EV will also be rather comfortable. This could be a great family SUV, and what helps that is the amount of space in the rear, with help from that completely flat floor. Then even if you're sat in the middle, still have a pleasant driving experience. And for the fact you have ISOFIX points either side, if you've got 2 kids and you also have an extra passenger, maybe an older kid who doesn't need a car seat, they're not going to be sat like this absolutely hating their lives and thinking, Mum, Dad, why didn't you buy a bigger car or an EV to have a completely flat floor? They won't have that argument. You get air vents in the back. There's not rear climate controls, so your rear passengers are kind of just going to have to accept what the temperature is. So parents, you're kind of a rule in the roost with the Niro EV. USB-C ports either side of the seat, so there are 2. So again, if you have teenagers, then they're not going to be squabbling over one like a lot of electric cars. Only seems to have one in the rear, which I never get. Finish on the seats is exactly the same as the front, and they are very comfy. There's a lot of sponginess in these seats, and with this being top spec, they do have that leather on them. Base spec comes with cloth, but they're still the same seats. It's kind of just the finish on it is a little bit different. You also, with this being top spec, have heated seats in the rear. Again, nice touch. Fold down armrest, which is very solid. There's no limpness here. A lot of cars nowadays kind of put in a tray table but don't really put any thought into it, and it kind of just goes boom and it's down here, and it's like, oh, this isn't very comfy. Nice and sturdy. 2 cup holders. Overall, it's a rather comfy car. So overall then, I think the Kia Niro EV offers not only value for money, but a great insight into owning an EV. Because Kia have that Kia Charge card with supporting app, it means that EV ownership is easier than ever and almost stress-free. In fact, you can bind all your monthly billing into one simple payment, use the card for all different charging stations and find them easily. It just ease that bit of pressure. And with the simplicity of the specs and the almost simplistic nature of the Niro EV, and not simplistic in a negative way, in the sense that it's kind of just got the basics in, it still offers plenty: smart cruise control, lane keep assist, reversing cameras, the modern day car tech, but it's not got excessive amount of tech. It's not got an excessive EV performance, but with a practical mile range of almost 295 miles with fast charging capabilities. Ultimately, this is a great all-round EV. If you want to find out more about the Kia EV range or the Niro EV, then contact Glyn Hopkin Kia.